Hello, I am Jessie Taylor, and I'm going to be talking about COVID-19. COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by what's known as severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, or better known as SARS-CoV-2, and it belongs to the beta coronavirus genus. Symptoms of COVID-19 include fever or chills, shortness of breath, trouble breathing, cough, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, loss of taste and or smell, sore throat, runny nose, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and congestion. COVID-19 is very contagious and can spread very quickly. It is a respiratory virus, and it can spread when someone breathes out droplets and particles. Another person can then breathe those droplets and particles in through the air, or they can be exposed to those droplets and particles if they land from an infected person onto their eyes, nose, or mouth, or if someone touches an infected surface that has those droplets and particles on them and then touches their face. Treatments are now readily available, and the most important one is to be vaccinated. There are multiple vaccinations, including Moderna, Pfizer, and Novavax. And once a person is vaccinated, it helps protect the person by creating an immune response within the potentially severe illness that can be associated with the COVID-19 infection. A person who has been vaccinated will become much less sick when being exposed to COVID-19. Over-the-counter medications after being vaccinated are really the best source, like Tylenol, ibuprofen to help with fever or body aches or headaches. If a person has an immunodeficiencies, doctors may prescribe medications, and doctors are actually prescribing more medications for more people now. Steroids have been FDA approved to help treat COVID-19. COVID-19 first began in Wuhan, China in December of 2019. By January of 2020, it had very fastly spread through Wuhan. The country was able to identify the cause of outbreak as coronavirus. On January of 14th of 2020, WHO finds evidence of human-to-human transmission. COVID-19 starts traveling outside of China, and on January 20th, the first confirmed case in the U.S. was recorded. On January 28th, a travel restriction was issued to try and make people stop traveling to China so that cases would stop coming into play in the U.S. On February 5th, testing kits for the disease were implemented to laboratories for testing of people. March 11th, there were 4,291 deaths and 118,000 cases in 114 countries. And this is when HOW finally declared COVID-19 a pandemic. In the U.S., mask guidelines were then implemented, as well as people were encouraged to donate blood because of low blood in hospitals due to treatment of people with COVID. In April, there was over 18,000 cases and more than 500,000 confirmed deaths in the U.S. And on April 10th, the U.S. became the country with most reported cases and most reported deaths. By this time, there was many shortages of PPE, personal protective equipment, and low hospital equipment like beds and ventilators. On April 30th, 2020, Trump administration funds the most promising vaccine candidates to make effective vaccines as soon as possible. In July, the U.S. presses 3 million confirmed COVID cases. Vaccinations didn't start be given out until late December of 2020 after they had found vaccination cases that the FDA had approved and were known to actually help stop symptoms, help stop severe sicknesses. After vaccinations were giving out, newer strains of COVID, such as Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, were detected in the US, but vaccinations had been given out, so sicknesses began to be less and less. And by July of 2021, the CDC finds that vaccinations have helped reduce risk of infections by 91% and has protected against severe illnesses and severe hospitalization cases.